The compliance officer is trying to put together a set of procedures for handling the decision of whether or not to file an STR. What should the compliance officer recommend to be part of these procedures? There are 4 options and you have to select one. Option A, the officer should recommend that the decision as to whether or not to file an STR be centralized to ensure uniformity. Option B, officer should recommend decentralizing the decision in order to speed up the process and to ensure that the decision is made closest to where the activity occurred. Option C, the officer should recommend that STRs only be filed once they have been authorized by the board of directors of the bank. Option D, the officer should recommend that STRs only be filed once they have been received and reviewed thoroughly by the legal. There are 4 options, you have to select one. You may pause your video for a couple of seconds and we'll see the answer now. Option A is correct. The officer should recommend that the decision as to whether or not to file the STR be centralized to ensure uniformity. So B, C, D, and are wrong. So let's see why B, C, and D are wrong. So you see, option B isn't like, speed. Actually, it's faster, decentralized. It sounds like a good thing, but STR filing is not about being fast. It's about the right and being right and consistent. Yes, the person at the front line knows the customer best, but giving them the final say on whether to file or not leads to a different decision based on different comfort levels, different knowledge, and different relationship with the customer. The front line should flag and escalate. The decision should sit with compliance. Option C is also wrong. The board sets the overall governance framework. It doesn't sit and review individual STR case one by one. Probably you remember, I think we have discussed that. They review on a summarized level, like how many STRs and all, not one by one. So that's not also practical by reviewing one by one. And more importantly, waiting for board sign off before filing would cause serious delays. Missing a filing deadline is itself a regulatory breach. That's the last thing you wanted. Option D is also wrong. A full legal review before every single STR gets filed is also too slow and too heavy for what is essentially an operational compliance decision. Legal involvement makes sense when a case is genuinely complex or when there are legal privileges questions involved, but as a standard requirements before every filing, it creates bottlenecks and defeats the purpose of having a streamlined STR process. Option A is correct. Think about what happens if every branch or every business unit makes their own STR filing decisions. One manager files, another one with the exact same situation doesn't bother. A third one is not even sure what the threshold is. That's the problem, right? Because now your institution has no consistent standard, and when the regulator comes knocking on your door, they will see that inconsistency straight away. Every single branch is doing their own way. So centralizing the decision fixes that. One function, usually the compliance team, reviews every case against the same criteria, the same standard, and the same documentation requirement every time. That's how you get uniformity, and that's exactly what the regulators expected to see. And you should also have generally a QA process to ensure all the STRs which are submitted are all streamlined.